Alrighty. I just want to say thank you for everybody coming to this webinar and being here to learn about these new Power BI reports that CalRecycle has made for you. Just want to introduce myself. My name is Nicole Hadler Marsden, and I'm an environmental scientist here at CalRecycle. Today, I'm going to be walking you through some Power BI reports that CalRecycle staff has created for public use. The purpose of these reports is to make information more readily available to the public. And if you would like to follow along with these reports as I go through them, Mallory is going to drop the link to the webpage in the chat so you can access it. And before we dive into the webinar, I just wanted to start by giving some background. So Power BI stands for Power Business Intelligence. It is a business analytics and data visualization tool that was developed by Microsoft. CalRecycle has chosen to use Power BI because it's a user-friendly interface for data modeling, and it allows data to be pulled from multiple sources. So on the webpage that houses the Power BI reports, CalRecycle has also provided Excel data sheets that can be downloaded and manipulated for individual use. And moving forward in this webinar, I'm just going to be referring to the Power BI reports as reports just for simplicity reasons. So all the information provided within these reports is self-reported by jurisdictions. This information is taken directly from the electronic annual report, and it is important to note that self-reported information may be subject to errors. And in rare occasions, the data from the electronic annual report may change. So during this webinar, I'm going to explain each report and give some example scenarios on how these reports can be used, and that way the user can obtain the information that they are looking for. We're going to be going over 4 reports, and they cover a wide range of information, and the reports have been organized either by report theme or format. So the first report we're going to cover is business participation with California waste and recycling requirements. The second report will cover container collection systems. The third report will cover procurement, ordinances, and source reduction programs. And the fourth report will cover facilities, haulers, contamination monitoring, and education and outreach. I know those titles are a little wordy, so Mallory will type or put those titles in the chat so that you can see them visually also. All right, so I'm going to start by showing you the web page that we've designed. Okay, so here is the web page that CalRecycle has designed to house the Power BI reports. It goes over some information at the beginning, just some intro information. In this area, there are videos throughout this page so that if you come back later and you need a little refresher, it shows you how to use the reports. And the first report we're going to look at actually has to do with regulations. And right here, it gives you when these last were updated. So we can see that it was updated this month, and it gives you a how-to video in case you come back and want just a little refresher. In addition, it has these 3 links right here, or sorry, 4 links, and those all go to the downloadable Excel sheets so that you can download them for your own use. So here's our first report. It is a little small, so there is a function at the bottom right in this section where you can either zoom in or you can make it full screen. For the purpose of this webinar, I'm going to go ahead and make it full screen so we can all see it a little clearer. All right, so I'm actually going to go to the first page. I'm going to just zoom in so we can see it a little better. So on each of these reports, there are some formatting themes that we're going to see.
Nicole, sorry to butt in. Can you go ahead and turn off your video? We're having a little bit of sound issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me 1 second and I can do that for you.
Thank you.
All right, how is the sound now? A little better?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for letting me know. All right, so on each of these reports, we can see that there's a title at the top. And then if we look through these 5 title boxes that I've highlighted in this red box, going from left to right, we have jurisdiction, county, designated reporting jurisdiction, regional agency, and report year. These 5 categories can be found throughout each report, and they can all be used as search parameters, which I have highlighted in the second red box below. And they each have a drop-down menu, except for the report year, which has this little scroll bar right here, or you can just manually type in the report year that you'd like to look at. And then also within this report and each page of the report that we're gonna look at, there's additional information that the user can find highlighted in this red box. So the categories will change as we click through the pages, but I just wanted to point out those 2 features. And then additionally, if the user wants to reset all the filters, there is this button right here. It's a pink button. It'll look the same on every page. All right, so how are we going to use this report, right? How can it be used for you? So one way you can look at this is that if you're, say, a jurisdiction and you are curious about, let's say, Sacramento County's programs, you could come down to county in this drop-down menu within the search parameters. You could click on the top or the drop-down menu. There is a scroll function through this, or you can just start typing and the county will come up and you would select that. Once you click out of that, within this data table, each jurisdiction within Sacramento will be displayed right here. And I just wanted to point out, so the jurisdictions will each be reported twice because the report year in this section, we have the 2021 and 2022 report year. So to prevent that, there's a quick solution. We would come down here to report year and we would just look at the year we want to. So let's say we want to look at 2022, we could just type that in right here and it'll immediately change our data table to get the more focused result that we want and the exact data we want to look at. So once we have this, we have all the jurisdictions displayed. And then once we scroll over, we can see now that each of the data categories are displayed only for the jurisdictions that we are interested in. And then if we want to go back, or maybe if you want to look at a different reporting year, you could change the reporting year. Or if we want to view, again, all the jurisdictions, we can just come to reset filters, this pink box, and click on that. And it once again will display all the data that we want and it starts over. You can also do the search parameters by jurisdiction if you're curious, designated reporting jurisdiction or regional agency. And then each page in this report is formatted the same. I'm going to show you each page just so you can see the different data categories. And in order to do that, when you're in this full screen setting, you can either click right here and this will show each page so you can go to the exact one you want, or at the very bottom in the center here, there is a click through. It says page 1 of 4, so you would click through the pages as you would like. All right, so the second page, this is going to be for mandatory commercial organics recycling. We can see here, if we scroll all the way over, that the data category, or not the data categories, the actual data has changed in accordance to the page that we're on. And then if we go to the third page, it'll show the mandatory commercial recycling. Again, once we scroll over, we can see that they have changed. And then the final page on the fourth page will show edible food. And there is one unique thing to this is that once we scroll over, the categories have changed. and we can actually see the pounds of edible food, the number of commercial generators, and the organizations. So that is one unique thing to this page of the report. All right, and that is this report. So in order to get out of this full screen, you can come down here to, there's a little arrows that go in, or you can just simply hit the escape button, and that also works. And that'll get you out of this report and back to the web page. All right, so the next report is collection container systems. Again, we have some information that I would just like to highlight in this section. There is the how-to video if you're curious when you come back. And then this is the Excel data sheet that will have all the data categories within the report that you can download. So here is the report. It is a little tiny, so I am gonna, again, make it full screen just so it's easier to see. This is still a little small, so I'm gonna make it just a little bigger, and we can kind of scroll through it as we learn about the different parts of the report. Alrighty. So on this report, we see the same first 5 categories in the data table right here. That hasn't changed. Again, those are also within our search parameters, as we saw in the first report, which are jurisdiction, county, regional agency, designated reporting jurisdiction, and then additionally report year right down here. And there are some new categories within this report. So as we scroll down, we can now search by the container right here, whether it's a color or a split container. There's some hauler information you can also search by. And then in this section, we can actually isolate the data that we want by the residential or commercial collection systems, which is a really unique feature. And then additionally, just at the bottom in this final red box, we have this jurisdiction count. And that's just really a quick screenshot of the numbers, because in the data table, you can really only see what's displayed. And this tells you the numbers just kind of at a quick glance. And there is one thing I want to point out about this, since currently at the moment in the reporting year, it does say 2021 and 2022. That's why there are some pretty high numbers down here. So if we want to get a really accurate look at the year, we can change it to 2022. And now we can see that the numbers are changing down here in the count, and that'll give you a quicker glance. Okay, so how can you use this to your advantage, right? So let's say maybe you are a jurisdiction, or you're assisting a jurisdiction, and you're curious about maybe getting a split container, or you want to put that into your program. So one way that you could do this, or maybe reach out to other jurisdictions that have that, is that we're going to keep the search parameters the same for jurisdiction, regional agency, and county, because we want to do a broader search. But I will go down here to the containers, and I'll click on split. So that automatically is going to change our data table to all the jurisdictions that have reported they have a split container, and it can be seen in this part of the report right here that everyone that's now being displayed has reported a split. And then let's say you want to incorporate this split into your 3-cart system that you already have. So we'll go down here to this data category, and we're going to select yes and no for some of these options. So when you're clicking on these options, it'll only, if you click on yes, it'll only display the jurisdictions that have also selected that yes in their ear, because that's the source that this is coming from. So we'll select yes for the residential, and then also the commercial, just for the purpose of this exercise. If you want to keep it a broader search, I would recommend not saying no yet, until we look at the data categories, because then it gets too specific and it might be overlooking some of the categories or jurisdictions that you want to look at. So now we'll move up to the data table to see our results. So here we can now see displayed in the data table that these jurisdictions over here, they all are reporting either a split and a 3-cart system for, oops, we gotta scroll over a little bit. Yeah, for the commercial, or for the residential, and additionally also the commercial. So that's how this tool can be used. It can really be used in a lot of different ways. However, you would like to put in these categories to get the results in the data table that you would like. And then to reset all these filters, we'll come down here to this button and we will click on reset. And now when we go back up to our data table, oh, whoops, that should have been there. Okay. Now we have all of the jurisdictions and categories again in our data table. So that's how you would use this report. It's pretty versatile and it can be used, yeah, to answer a lot of questions, or if you just want information on other jurisdictions or programs. So I'm going to, and there's only one page of this, so I'm just going to exit the full screen and we'll go back to the web page. As we scroll down, we'll go to the third report. And just before we get started, I want to point out the Excel data sheets that are here again and the how-to video, so that if you need to come back, you can look at it. All right, so here is the third report, which covers procurement, ordinances, and source reduction programs. I'll click through each page after I go over the example so you can see those. This again is a little small, so you can make it, I'm going to make it bigger. All right, that looks good. So within this report, we again have our data table. We have the same categories right here. And then this only has one really data point, depending on what you select. So that's why it doesn't have a big scroll bar here. And then another unique part about this report is that it also has a count down here where you can kind of just see by at a glance, either by the type of procurement that, or procurement product, you can scroll through here. And these numbers just mean that this is the number of jurisdictions that are using that product for their procurement. And then if we go to the next count below that, it has the jurisdiction names and a number, and that means that that jurisdiction is using that number of procurement products to satisfy SB 1383. So one way that you could use this report is maybe you're interested in having a new type of procurement product and you want to reach out, maybe peer match, see what other jurisdictions either near you or far that are using a certain product. So one way we can look that up is, I'm going to change it first, the report year to 2022, just so we have more isolated data. All right, and on this data table also, the jurisdictions might double, as in the name might be repeated multiple times, and that's just because right now all the recycled content products for procurement right here are current, none of them are isolated. So it's going to display all the results, and that's why you're having multiple, the jurisdiction multiple times right here. But let's say you want to look at maybe electricity from renewable gas. So in order to isolate that data, you would come to this right here, and you would click on electricity from renewable gas right here. And then it's going to display every single jurisdiction that's using it. in this data table. So you can scroll through that if you'd like. And then if you want to look at another type of procurement product, you can click on something else. Maybe you want to look at mulch also. You would just click on mulch and it'll also have all the jurisdictions displayed on the data table. The only limitation to this report is that you can only look at one product at a time. So that's why if you look down here, renewable gas is no longer selected once we clicked on mulch. And then to reset the filters, we would just click on reset. And then it will display all of the data again. So that's how you use this report in this format. I'm going to click through each page just so you can see the differences. All right, so on the second page, we have more materials. Here, nothing's really changed except for the type of recycled materials right here, but everything else formatting wise is the same. All right, and then here's another page for materials. And the data table is still the same. We still have the counts over here, and except for the materials have slightly changed once again. But besides that, if you're going through this report, you would run through that format kind of like the example I showed before. And this is the same thing, just different materials. And then we have ordinances, but the same idea if you're going through them. And finally, the source reduction programs you can select and look at here, but other than that, you would go through the same formatting to find the results that you need. And then one key feature I also want to point out, since this is a longer report, or there's more pages, you can come over to this function right here and it'll display, so you don't have to click through all the pages. You can just go to the report or the page directly that you want to within this report. All right, and we can move on to the final report. So this one's going to cover facility data, organic waste haulers, education outreach, and contamination monitoring. And then again, if you want to find the Excel sheets, they're all right here for you, so you can download them. We'll make this report full screen so it's a little easier to see. All right, so on this first page, it's going to go over compostable plastics, whether they're allowed in the green container, and then also if plastic bags are allowed in the green container. So two separate data categories. We again have the same information that we're seeing throughout all the reports here. This report also has another count. So it just gives you that quick screenshot about how many jurisdictions are using it. And then we have the search parameters in this third red box right down here, and including the report year over here. So those are what we're working with in this report. So if you're going to search this report, again, I'm going to isolate it to just 1 year just because it's a little easier to look at. And that will automatically change our data. We can see that the counts have changed right here. And then if you want to look at maybe a certain program, maybe you're in Sacramento County and want to know other, jurisdictions in that county that are using compostable plastics in their green container. So we could come over to the county drop-down menu. We can just search Sacramento. We can click on that. It's automatically changed our data. We can now see these two data categories here. Let me scroll over just so they're a little bit more in the center. All right, so everything on this report, sorry, not on this report, but on this page will be a yes or no answer. We can see that here. And then additionally, we have some more information in this report, including information on rural jurisdictions and whether a jurisdiction has a low pop waiver, and if they're using Article 17 to satisfy SB 1383 requirements. And that information will be on every page also within this report. Okay, so again, if we want to reset these filters, we'd come to this little pink button, click on it real quick, and we can see that everything, all the data points and all the jurisdictions are now once again displayed in our data table. Okay, so on this page of the report, it is formatted the same. The different data that has changed is the number of colors that can be seen in this red box that I'm going to highlight. That this is the unique data category within this page. Page. All right, so now we're looking at education and outreach. This format has slightly changed. That can be seen by the boxes you can click on right over here. We do have another count. And then we also have the search parameters that we are used to by this point, right here. So one interesting way that you can look up the data for this report is you can either click on the education type, or you can go to the other search parameters that we've been using, such as jurisdiction, county, designated reporting jurisdiction, and regional agency. So for this example, I'm going to come over here to education type. And let's say that I'm interested in jurisdictions that are using direct contact. So I can click here, it'll change our data. Now it'll have displayed every jurisdiction that uses direct contact as a way to do education and outreach. But we once again have the double jurisdictions because I forgot to change the reporting year. So I'll change that really quick. So we'll isolate it to 2022, and now we have each jurisdiction that's using that method. And you can click through each method. One limitation to this report, again, is that you can't look at multiple education types at the same time. So if we wanted to change to electronic, we would click on that, and now the data will change to reflect every jurisdiction that's using that. And then the counts will change in this box based on what we're clicking on. All right, and it also includes the number of generators, which I will highlight in this box. Right here. So that's another data point that's added to this page of the report. And then to reset, we'll just click the reset filters. It'll go back to showing all the data as it originally did. This fourth page is formatted just like the third, so I'm not going to go over another example, but this is just for commercial, so that's the only thing that's changed here. And then on this fifth report, it's similar to the fifth page, similar to the third and fourth page, except for now we're just looking at contamination monitoring and what methods they're using right here. We have a new count that shows everything. And that is what is unique here. And then we can see that the data will be displayed in this section of the data table. Right there. And then I'll just exit the screen here. That is the last page of this report. All right, so that is the web page. Those are the reports. All that good information for you to use. So thank you for letting me show you that today. I'm very excited to present all the hard work put into these reports. And Mallory, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Nicole. Let me just go ahead and put up the slide so folks know how to ask questions. Just 1 second here. Need to move this out of the way. I'm having a hard time getting to this. 1 second. There we go. All right, so if folks have questions, they can go ahead and put your question in the Q&A function for Zoom. Please do not put your questions in the chat function, as we are not monitoring the chat function for questions. The questions should focus on how to use the Power BI reports. We do have informational videos on how to use the Power BI reports on the website that we shared in the chat. So you can reference those videos at a later point if you want to find out more about each of those reports, but it's similar to the information that Nicole just shared. This webinar is being recorded, so it will be posted on our YouTube channel. And if you are signed up for the SLCP listserv, you will receive an announcement when that video is uploaded to YouTube and it is available. So CalRecycle staff will go through the questions we see in the Q&A function on a first come, first serve basis. And we will try to get to all the questions if possible, but if we are not able to, we can go ahead and follow up with you after this webinar. And for those of you using the webcast and not Zoom, if you'd like to ask a question, please go ahead and email slcp.organics@calrecycle.ca.gov. We are monitoring that inbox and we'll be taking questions there also. Please do not use the raise hand function. We will not be monitoring that. Given all of that information, we will go ahead and start with the first question. So the first question is coming in from an anonymous participant, and they were wondering, is there a count for the total number of jurisdictions within the selected county? Nicole, did you have a response for that?
So it depends on the report that you're looking at, but it'll have the count for the total number of jurisdictions that have selected that option. So no, it doesn't say like the total for the state of California, if that makes sense. It's only specific to that report in that data category.
Thank you. And because it's an anonymous question, we can't go ahead and ask them if they wanted to ask a follow-up question. But if you do, you can go ahead and type it into the Q&A pane. So we will go ahead and move on to the next question on the list, and that is Nikhil. Nikhil, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Oh, hi. Yeah, just a question on the contamination monitoring reports. Wanted to know if you at some point are planning on sharing the number of residents and businesses that are being sampled at each jurisdiction?
At this time, I do not know the answer to that question, but I can get back to you. I can figure that out and let you know. But I apologize, at this moment, I do not have that answer.
Nicole, I think I can go ahead and add on to that too. So Nikhil, go ahead and remember that all the data here in these Power BI reports are from the data we collect from the jurisdictions and the electronic annual report. And currently, that is not a data point that we were asking about in the electronic annual report. So unfortunately, it won't be included in the contamination monitoring Power BI report on the webpage, unless the electronic end report at some point has a change where we start to collect that data. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. Do we have any other questions? I don't see anything coming in on the SLCP inbox. There's nothing else in the Q&A function. So we'll go ahead and just give folks a minute or two to go ahead and type any questions. Oh, I see two more just popped in. Thank you. So next question is from an Elizabeth Carrad. Let me go ahead and unmute Elizabeth. Elizabeth, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself now, you can ask your question.
Sure. Hi, my name is Lizzie Carrad. I'm with the County of San Mateo. I was curious, it seems like a big benefit of this tool is it allows us to figure out which jurisdictions are doing what with their programs. So I'm wondering if we wanted to follow up with a specific jurisdiction, is there any kind of like contact list? Or I guess how would we know who at a jurisdiction to follow up with?
Fantastic question, Elizabeth. I can go ahead and take that one. We have a fantastic page on our website. I'll go ahead and put it in the chat in a moment, but it has the contact information for all of the jurisdictions throughout the state of California. So it includes the contact information for the recycling coordinator, and you can go ahead and contact them directly if you had a question about something from their program. Elizabeth, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, looks like we have a couple more questions coming in here. So next we will have Alexander Bordeaux. Alexander, you should be able to unmute yourself now if you'd like to ask your question.
Okay, thanks. Alex Brito with the LA Regional Agency. The question I wanted to ask was regarding how the SRI reports would be generated. I saw that we kind of went through that as an option. As memory serves, the new elements of the report, the non-SRI sections, do allow our 18 different jurisdictions that are members of our regional agency. They can report city by city as you showed during the demo. However, when it comes to SRI, typically all of our cities kind of have to report together in one field. And I was curious, how will that render when you're running a report? So for example, suppose there are 3 cities in my regional agency and I run a report for SRI program 5020, right? If it's a non-SRI section, I'll see it broken out by city. But when SRI gets all combined, will I just see one response for the entire regional agency?
Great question. Nicole, did you want to take this one?
Yeah, sorry, I was having a problem unmuting myself. Yeah, so at this moment, I believe they should all be displayed, but I can also follow up with you, Alexander, to see if that is how it will work. It might just, I can get back to you later today on that.
Okay, thanks. We can also run a sample report too, I suppose, and figure it out that way.
Yeah, that's just a very unique question that I haven't been asked yet. So I'll run it on my side and see what I can get you.
All right, awesome, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Fantastic. I'm just checking to see if we have any other questions at this time.
Mallory, I do also want to make a correction to what I said. I misspoke earlier. I just wanted to share my screen really quick to show people this feature that I missed.
Thank you.
Maybe while we're waiting for questions.
Sounds
I'll
good
just,
to me.
okay, I'll just share my screen really quick. All right, so I just wanted to point out, because somebody pointed this out to me. Earlier, I did say that there was a limitation saying that we could only click on one of these boxes at a time. And again, I am looking right here, and that's actually incorrect. So I apologize for misspeaking. If we click on one of them and then you hold down your control key, you can actually click multiple selections. I am doing right now, and those will all be displayed in your data table. So just wanted to share that quick correction that you can actually look at multiple things at the same time. And that was all I had on that.
Thanks, Nicole. We do have one more question that came in. This again is an anonymous question, and they asked, how do we update a city's information that is incorrect?
So all the information in these reports is pulled from the electronic annual report. So if a jurisdiction had something, they would have to contact, I would guess, their land representative and the people who have the capability of potentially changing the year. I don't personally have that capability, but those are the channels you'd have to go through.
Sounds correct, Nicole. The electronic annual report is submitted once per year. Once it is submitted, we have limited opportunity to go ahead and open that report back up and make changes. It can be quite difficult on our end. So please do reach out to your local assistance representative if you feel like there is a mistake in the report that you submitted and you'd like to correct that. And we can go ahead and work to see if we're able to unsubmit the report and make those changes. But like I said, that is a limited opportunity, and it's not something that we're necessarily always able to do. And I'm just double checking to see if we have any questions coming in via the SLCP inbox, but I'm not seeing anything at this time. No more questions exist in the Q&A function. Unless, Nicole, do you happen to know what is the total number of jurisdictions? Do you know that one?
Off the top of my head, I could estimate, but no, I don't know the exact number.
I want to say it's 600 something, but yeah, that's unfortunately not something we have memorized, but we can go ahead and get back with an answer on that one. Any other questions? This is your last opportunity. I'll go ahead and take this time to remind folks that you can go ahead and use the Q&A function to submit questions, or use the slcp.organics@calrecycle.ca.gov mailbox to ask questions if you are on the webcast. It looks like we're not getting any more questions coming in. So if that is the case, we will let you know that if you have additional questions, please go ahead and direct them to that mailbox. I'll go ahead and share my screen so that you can see that. So this is the mailbox that you'll want to go ahead and send any additional questions you'd have from today's webinar, and we'll be sure to follow up with you. Like I previously said, this webinar was recorded and we will be posting it on our CalRecycle YouTube channel. When it becomes available, we'll be sending out a listserv via the SLCP listserv. So please make sure that you're signed up there. I went ahead and put that information in the Q&A function because someone did ask a question about that. Besides that, I think, Nicole, if you want to just wrap up a couple of our housekeeping items, then we can probably go ahead and close this one out.
Yeah, before we close out, I just wanted to give a thank you to Mallory and Andrew Parrish for helping on this project, and additionally, all the IT members, Isaac and Dylan specifically, that helped put this webpage together. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicole, for putting all this together. You did a wonderful job today. And Kathy just messaged me and she says her count is 482 jurisdictions, 58 counties, just so we have that information in there. But Nicole, no other questions. So if you want to go ahead and wrap us up.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of plug again these future webinars. We have one next week, another chat with CalRecycle covering enforcement, and wanted to note that there will not be a November or December SB 1383 chat with CalRecycle. And again, thank you everyone for joining us and allowing me to share this information with you. I hope you find it helpful. Additional questions can be sent to the SLCP inbox. And again, thank you for joining and have a great rest of your Wednesday afternoon.
Thank you.